Today, we live in a polarized world. Extremism seems to be the way. You disagree with the right, you're a leftist. You disagree with the left, you're a rightist. You question liberals, now you're a gun-loving conservative. You disagree with vegans? Congratulations, you're a meat-loving Genghis Khan-worshipping gym rat. You criticize Zionism? Well, you're an anti-Semitic, foot-loving Nazi. Now, this kind of extremist mentality is clearly problematic and makes dialogue so complicated and absolutely not productive. But we are not about that here in Rugrag. We can criticize the Zionist regime, but we can also recognize that maybe they invented falafels. And I know how you feel about falafels. Falafels are heavy, and if you have way too many of them, you will most certainly have a heartburn. I'm having one right now. It hurts, it's not comfortable. But we're not here to talk about falafels or my heartburn. We're here to bring you what is hopefully a fun and an interesting episode. An episode in which we'll aim to present you with contrasting ideas. For now, however, I want to invite you to close your eyes. I want to invite you to clear your mind. And I'm going to ask you this. Do you feel, at this moment, and at this particular time-space, do you feel an ever-present light? This ever-present light is probably emanating from today's guest. Today's guest is truly one of a kind. He is an absolute gem. What Aussies may call a champ, or what they may even call a sick cunt. Wad Yaseen, welcome to Rugrag. Thank you. And of course, I have with me the ever elegant, the always sophisticated Omer. How are you, man?
I'm
Welcome
good. I'm
here,
good.
bro.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me on your show, and thank you for the introduction. That was great.
Thanks, bro. You were supposed to be outside the set when we were doing the introduction, so you kind of let the viewers know what was going on.
Yeah.
It's fine, though. It's fine. It's fine. Now they know. You know?
Now they know. Yeah.
We're trying to be honest here.
I'm just gonna try my best not to look like the sick cunt.
Sick cunt is a good word. I don't know, man. It's a good word.
Sick cunt.
Sick cunt. Sick cunt is better than ill cunt. That is something that you need to get checked out.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Omer, welcome to today's episode. Today is episode number 10.
Happy to be here. Really happy to be here, man. I'm excited. Got one of my best friends. And yeah, I'm just not used to not being the main man.
You'll always be the main man.
I'm clearly the third option on this table.
Nah. You'll always be the main man.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Well, I wanted to start off the episode by asking you a couple of questions. So I'm going to reach over to my papers that are really not placed easily. We're going to cut this part.
This is 1978, mashallah.
Bro, don't.
With your
why-
papers.
Bro. I got a printer. It's heavy, but I got it. I want to ask you, are you nervous being here today in Rugrag?
Honestly, because it's my first time doing this, I'm a bit nervous. But I expected to be more nervous than that. But I think the fact that I know you guys for a long time, I've known Danny for a while as well. So I kind of feel like we're just having a
nice chat?
a friendly chat, yeah.
It is absolutely not that. You are now being exposed to the rest of the world.
Oh my
To
God.
our all 500 subscribers, they
Your
know you
life
now.
will never be the same again.
Absolutely not. They know every little detail about your life, bro. They know everything, these guys.
It's all right, it's all right. Like,
All
you-
499 of them.
You always have to be happy to get the criticism and then try to grow from there. So I don't mind this kind of.
This guy's ready, man.
it's
Yeah,
fine.
yeah, that's fine. I mean, I was just trying to trip
It's
you
fine,
up, but
yeah.
you seem
All you have to
be
be is
completely fine.
be cool and just say what you think. That's it.
That's what's up.
Nice. Okay, so I just want to start off this episode by asking you a very simple question, and we don't really require a very complicated answer. Today's world, what would be one thing that would make existence better? Not a complicated answer, but if you feel like you need to make it complicated, that's fine too.
To make our existence better.
Yes.
So we're talking about making peace.
Well, it could be 5G also.
No, I think, in my humble opinion, if we're looking to have peace in the whole world, which is, I think, in my humble opinion again, that this is impossible to achieve. It's never going to be perfect, but we can reach to a point where we can take this conflict in some other form.
In some other, like jujitsu?
Not jiu-jitsu. Why? It doesn't have to be fighting. You don't have to kick anyone.
Okay, that's fine.
All you have to do is we need to have the dialogue. Like we need to have these conversations. But at the same time, if we're having these conversations from a point where you're not going to change your mind or you're not going to understand what the other person is saying, then there is no point of having it. This is what I think.
So you're saying you gotta come to the conversation ready to have your point of view changed, or you gotta come with an open mind?
Might be. If you're convinced, why not? I'm not talking here about changing your principles. No, this is a whole different conversation.
Okay.
I'm talking about understanding the other side. This is what I think will get us closer to a world that has more peace,
Fair enough. That's a good
less
answer.
conflicts.
That's a good
It's
answer.
a great answer.
I was looking for more like maybe have food before you talk to someone. You're probably hungry.
That's basic. That's
Yeah,
basic
that's basic.
advice. Yeah.
But I guess so. Maybe, bro. Are you calling me basic?
No. I'm saying that is true.
But it's basic
However,
advice.
basic. Yeah.
Good rephrasing. You survived the chat.
Whoa,
got
he's
another
coming,
question.
he's coming for my neck today.
No, I want to ask you the same question too. I want to hear what you have to say.
I really agree with the dialogue. I think we need good dialogue and from a place of understanding. But I also think we need to be able to, a part of that is being able to accept the hard truth sometimes.
Yeah.
Perfect. What did you think of my introduction? That's really what I want.
I really like it. I really like it.
What did you like most about it?
You just have star power. You're
Thank you.
charismatic.
Yeah. What do you think about my hair today?
It's great. It's a Jufro.
Oh.
I like it. Jufro is bigger. It's bigger curls. Like, look at these two are afros. That's maybe real afro. Second real afro. This is a Jufro.
A Jufro.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Jufro is bigger curls, like an afro a Jewish person would have.
Oh.
So you're indirectly, but also directly calling me Jewish?
I think you are. You do have some blood from the region, right? Palestinian.
Well, I guess so. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. That's right.
I don't care about that.
That's fine. That's fair enough. I just wanted to hear some good compliments about my introduction.
No, your introduction was fantastic. Honestly.
What about the falafel thing?
I don't know. Like I was in an event where they're colonizing Palestinian food. So I may have learned too much to let that one slide. But it's a joke.
It's a joke.
I like it.
Yeah. Who do you think invented it? I feel like this is a big topic, bro.
I feel like some guy who didn't give a fuck about the division today. Someone
Long
in the
time ago.
past. Yeah.
Like imagine this. Before 1948, no one had a falafel wrap.
Huh? What did they have? Like a falafel pita, maybe? Like a dinner style?
If Israel invented falafel, they existed in 1948. So before that, no one had falafel wrap.
I'm pretty sure my grandparents had falafels before them.
Probably,
Yeah, that makes sense. Tamia has been around, man. Like, you can't just take it
been
back.
around for a
I
long
actually
time.
thought you know a lot about falafels. I thought the 1948 was a falafel-rated number. But now in hindsight, it makes sense.
No, because that's
I'm not a big fan, anyways.
yeah.
Of what?
Falafel.
They do give you a heartburn.
Like, yeah, they make you like,
But it's not only falafel. They claim the tabula
gaseous,
as well.
I guess.
They what? They claimed what?
The tabula.
Tabula?
Yeah,
You can't just take that.
yeah. They
And
claim
za'atar as well.
and zaatar.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I guess they're
Za'atar,
taking
actually,
everything.
I
That's the
lear-
season, huh?
I actually learned an interesting fact. I learned that Sharon, when he was the Minister of Agriculture or something, he banned the Palestinians from cultivating za'atar. Like now everybody go Google that or something. I don't owe you guys the full truth. You gotta go Google that and validate it. But I heard that in that event. I heard it from the mouth of another person. Yes.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Okay, I want to move on to a question that is less related to food and more related to people. What Yaseen, I want to ask you, is there something that, like a part of your personality that people misunderstand about you a lot? We're here in Sydney. You meet a lot of people. A lot of us are coming to Australia, so we may have some parts of our older personality still exist. But a lot of the people you meet here have been here for a long time. So there's a clash of worlds. So do you feel like you still are keeping something that people misunderstand? If I phrase this properly,
You mean
a part of your personality that people misunderstand.
You may misunderstand about my personality or apart from my personality.
Not your whole personality. I'm not saying people going around misunderstanding you.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is there like perhaps a habit that you still do that people go like, wow, what are you doing?
Nah. So what I've noticed that when I talk to Australians, they tend to think extremist.
What?
Yeah. Or conservative. Let's put it that way. They tend to think that.
Elaborate. Tell me more.
Like, for example, when recently, that Donald Trump won the elections. So on site, like my job, I was talking to one of the boys over there, and then we had this conversation about Donald Trump. But I think the idea that he had about me saying that Donald Trump has a good side and an extremely bad side.
You
of
said
him.
that?
Yeah, I said that. And then what he wanted to hear is Donald Trump is just terrible.
That's the extremist view, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think, at that point I got labeled, which is fine, conservative or whatever. I'm not conservative. I don't like Donald Trump. I don't know if I should be saying that here.
That's fine. People don't know your last name.
But
You should say what you mean.
to be honest, I don't like the guy, but I can see the good that he brings. Or why did the U.S. citizen, the average citizen, voted for him? I can see that.
Why? Okay. Well, tell me more. Tell me more if you feel like this is an opinion that...
That's fucked up, though, if I may interrupt. That's fucked
Yeah.
up that you can get labeled for having a balanced mind.
The-
When you say something people don't like, because here it's a liberal, kind of very leftist
Yeah.
direction in general. So if you say anything about Trump having some merit or Trump being good, his reforms of the economy have been good, that's just a plain fact. He improved American lives. But how is that? This is a problem, right? Like the
It
fact
is a
that you
problem.
can get labeled an extremist, but you're just showing a balanced mind.
Yeah,
Really.
but I think because when you're judging a character like Donald Trump, basically you focus on one key point that in his personality, let's say he's pro.
Grabbed her by the pussy.
That's one thing, yeah. But I mean,
It's hard to
Donald Trump,
forget that moment, yeah.
he wants everyone to have a gun, for example. That's one of the policies that he's going to encourage.
Yeah, Australians are not going to like that, for sure.
Australians are not going to like that for sure.
Yeah.
Even Americans, like
They're
I think
divided on
a
it.
big portion of the Americans. I've never been to America. All I know about them is from their social media and their debates and whatever. I don't think they like it as well. But at the same time, for Australians, they only see this aspect. They don't see the other promises that Donald Trump made for his people. The economy reforms. I'm going to stop wars, although I don't think he is going to do it, but that's what he promised.
He seems like he's about to start another one in Mexico by calling Mexicans terrorists.
Yeah. He's trying to
Yeah,
build
those comments were problematic when he made about Mexico. Yeah, they're very divisive.
yeah,
Very divisive.
very offensive.
I want to ask you a bit of a change of subject.
Yeah.
I want to ask you about your background. Like, when did you move to Australia? Tell us a little bit about your experience coming to this country. Yeah, just a little bit about that. Just so.
So I was born in Saudi Arabia. I lived there for 5 years, and then I moved to Sudan. So I would say I grew up in Sudan. I went to primary school, high school, and then 3 years at the University of Sudan, SUST.
That's the acronym?
Yeah, SUST.
Yeah, okay.
Those were like 3 very difficult years.
What did you study there?
Electrical engineer as well.
Yeah, okay.
And then that's where I was exposed to reality at the uni. And then I moved to Malaysia after that, where I met you guys.
Yeah.
That was 2009. Yeah, 2009.
Yeah, about then. Yeah.
Yeah, and then I moved to Sydney 2014. Yeah, 2014.
When you said studying in Sudan was a reality shock, what do you mean? Or like a shock to your... What do you mean by that?
I mean, the university in Sudan was an experience. When I joined, like I never had any interactions, like conflicts. I've never seen a political conflict happening. I've never witnessed that. But now when I started going to uni, that was
everyday experience.
everyday experience. Not every day, but I mean we had elections, and during those times we've seen a lot of shit happening to people. And this is where you think that okay, this is not the place to be.
But
This
you
is
did
not
try
the
to.
environment that you wanna get educated in.
And is it because of the political activity or because of the corruption that you saw happen?
I mean, political comes hand to hand with corruption.
Right.
If you're trying to shut people up, it means you're corrupted. You don't want them to say something.
So you saw firsthand the government suppression,
Yeah,
and the dirty
exactly.
tactics.
Exactly. It's a long story. A lot of like horrible things that happened. I wouldn't say very horrible. It was good experience, but at the same time, this is not an environment that you wanna get involved in.
Yeah.
If you're really looking for education, this is not it. You get distracted by a lot of conflicts. The things that I thought that I would learn from this if I, like, let's say, stayed there, I would definitely be opposing this. I would definitely be opposing it. But I wanted to get something, how to say, I don't know how to explain it, but I want to have an experience that I can learn from it how to fix this. Let's put it this way.
But so like being exposed to it, you thought you'd gain some experience that would allow you later on to maybe.
No. The whole time I was thinking about leaving. I'm not gonna lie about this. I didn't think about fixing.
You didn't like it.
Yeah, but I want to see a different experience, something that worked. This was my idea. Especially when I was more focused on education more than politics, but like you get exposed to a lot of my friends were involved in this.
In the politics
Yeah.
in the world. Okay. All right. So I would just want to move on now to maybe a different set of questions that I'll invite you to answer as well.
Sure.
The first being, Omer, do you remember the toilet paper shortage?
The COVID one,
The
yeah?
COVID, the shortage. Did you panic? Did you buy toilet paper? We're just talking about Sudan's politics, and I want to acknowledge that this is a weird
No.
transition, but sometimes you gotta.
That's no, I remember that time very well. I lived in Glebe here in Sydney, and I lived with my ex-wife. And I remember the panic in the news. I remember the fear mongering. I remember my wife was panicking. My ex-wife, she was panicking at that time a little bit, not like terrified. I feel like society was crazy, but I wasn't panicking. And I feel like I just felt like, hey, whatever is gonna happen is gonna happen at this level, and I'm not gonna be terrified of something that I can't see, because where's the limit with that? You know, so I was like, I have to choose my stance and just be calm and just do what's reasonable, not scare people, not do things that are crazy. But I was shocked by that toilet paper thing and the way people started buying tuna cans and shit. You know, like, you know, people are, you know,
Like
getting
hoarding.
And I saw something scary then I feel. I saw that people, when they're scared, they're not looking at another. You know, they don't give a shit. And I saw an older person get pushed off the shelf by a woman who has kids that wants to get the last cans of tuna. And I saw that people are talking to each other rudely. And I felt like, no, something's wrong with our society.
Survival mode.
Yeah, survival mode. And survival mode. And this is something that I connect to. You know, if you're not exposed, if you've been comfortable for a long time, you will not know how to act when things change. And I felt a little bit scared, but not from COVID, but from how society behaved. I felt like, how can this place be a safe place for my children? If people, the moment they get scared, they're gonna just kill each other. I felt like people are gonna kill each other. You know what I mean? But yeah, that's what I remember from it.
What about you didn't answer my question. Did you end up buying?
No. I bought the reasonable amount that I needed. And at that time, like we bought the water thing. Anyways, yeah, we bought the water thing because I
They
grew
keep
up,
it clean, yeah.
like I'm a Muslim, so that was more, my reliance was on that. We did have toilet paper in the house because we have guests that are not Muslim and so on and so forth. But it wasn't a big problem to us.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I feel like this question is perhaps you'll also probably say that you've had a shattafa at home, so
Yeah.
it wasn't much of a big deal. Like you didn't understand the panic. You're like, that's another reason to switch.
To be
Bidets
honest,
are like 40 bucks.
reason to switch.
Yeah. So it's just 40 bucks on Amazon. Just get a bidet. No problem. Easy to install.
to be honest, I would understand the tuna can, that people panicking and getting food, storing food.
Yeah.
But toilet papers,
Toilet paper was a bit of a
we're
weird one.
facing a pandemic, and you're thinking about
I need toilet
your
paper,
ass.
Your ass.
That's
to
your
wipe.
major concern. Your ass. Come on, man. What happened to food? There's a lot of things
That's
that
what they
comes
say, bro.
before you. Oh, shit.
Antibiotics.
مخك بيطيزك, as they say.
Exactly.
Bro, if you will die with your ass clean. That's important.
That's the
that's
the
the
prin-
way.
that seems
Well,
to be the
yeah, if you
principle.
look at it that way. But
That's the least priority, bro.
yeah, to be honest, I didn't get it, especially in Australia, because here the
yeah.
government is a functional government. We can't take this away from them. Like they are functional. So if a pandemic happened, especially with Australia doesn't have like a high population. Government can deal with this kind of pandemics. So I don't understand why they panicked and went to toilet papers.
It was over the top. The fear was over.
Yeah,
the top.
Yeah.
it was just they were acting out of fear. And I think it started as a mass group thing. Like people went in and they looked at each other. What's that person is grabbing off the shelf? And someone saw like someone
Monkey
taking-
see, monkey do.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they grabbed 2 toilet papers, like two
And people
big-
were just following each other.
People
Do you
were just
remember
doing-
when we went to Glebe Park? I remember one night. I remember you were there.
Yes.
I remember there was maybe 2 others. Maybe Balula was there as well. I'm not sure. But we went there like, hey, let's go just have a cigarette together, get some coffees from 7-Eleven, hang out. We were like lonely in COVID, man. We see each other all the time. So
It
we
was
went to the
even
park.
before the lockdown. It
It
was
w-
the last night before.
Yeah, I think
last
so.
night before
It was just the lockdown
yeah.
was announced and not enforced yet and stuff. It was just new. And we were at the park, Glebe Park, and we were just sitting on a corner very away from people. And there was just a lady, like a Caucasian lady, just walking there, an older lady. And she just started screaming at us, "Are you trying to kill people? Are you trying to kill people? Go home!" And she went crazy, right? And we were honestly, none of us reacted badly. Like we were like, "Hey, everybody's scared." We were like, "Hey, just don't worry about it. Sorry, ma'am." We just went to another corner. I think we continued somewhere else, and then we went home when we were done. But that's just to show you,
Yeah.
people were on edge.
Yeah,
Well, you know, like, and Australian society generally has a polite thing. They're not very confrontational. So if someone confronts you in the street like that, they have really reached a far place.
but that's acting out of fear.
Yes,
I
purely.
think when fear hits you, then you're not the same person.
I even did the same
You're
thing.
gonna do
What did you do?
unlogical shit.
I did the same thing when COVID started. One of my friends, Musab, he used to come over. We used to go to the gym and whatever. And I started telling him, "Bro, I heard you coughing, bro. What's the story, man?" Musab Bins. He asked him about this. He'd be like,
You're
"Yeah,
a godless fuck,
man."
man.
He was like, "Oh, what, bro?" There's like this agreement amongst Sudanese and maybe even immigrants that I don't believe this shit. Like just like COVID, bro, we'll be fine. You just don't have to go to the hospital.
He
It's the
didn't
same
care.
thing.
He
He didn't
didn't
care.
care.
He looked at me as if I was crazy. He didn't acknowledge any of it.
Thank
It's
God.
like it's just I'm just coughing. It's normal. I smoke. It's okay. I cough sometimes. But yeah, immediately, yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah,
no,
during
but
that
people
time-
reacted differently for sure.
Yeah. During that time, a cough was
Was
even
problem.
like scarier than a
Scary
bullet.
shit.
It
Yeah.
was worse than farting.
It really was. And there has never been a time where
Yeah,
there's something worse than that. Yeah.
just saying.
Speaking of coughs, that takes me back to when I had my injury because in COVID you also suppress the cough. When I had my herniated disc, if you cough, my back would just clinch up. So I remember just kind of taekwondo that the cough bro, I would be holding it for like an hour and just go, and it comes this way. And when I was doing security as well, my whole income relied on me sitting there and not coughing. The moment you cough, they're all there. All the securities are there. Like, hey, what's the story, man? You're supposed to be the healthy one, keeping the sick ones inside.
No, if you cough, that's a nightmare.
They send you home, man.
No, it was really a
imagine
nightmare.
if you sneeze. People start calling the police.
Yeah, no, it was
over,
bad.
yeah.
And I remember
Yeah.
I almost died once trying to hold the coffin. I almost like died. I was in a taxi with 4 other people, and I was just like. I almost died until we arrived. I was like, just drop me here.
That's so funny. Cool, man. Speaking of COVID, do you think the government should have a bit more control to make lives better? Because that's the experience we've had in Australia during that time. Do you think if they have more
okay,
power
nice
to fix
segue.
problems, we'll all, or should we all just perhaps be better neighbors to each other?
Do you want to take that first, or should I?
No, I think you take
Okay.
that first. Yeah.
So, should the government, should we rely on the government to intervene in these situations, or should we invest more time building relationships and trust around us? Of course, for me, the latter. Of course, I think that power is in community, power is in the people. I believe in that deeply. I believe that if people can develop trust and understanding and dialogue and accept each other's differences, government will have to provide real value to be relevant, But I think government, the way it is set up today, is really, it's protecting us from each other in a way. It's like, oh, your parent is not letting you do this, don't worry, come to the city, the government will help you, okay? Or, oh, it's like breaking up community values. And I understand there needs to be a balance with everything. But I think today, if I keep it short, we give too much power to government. We put too much of our responsibility on the government. And when you do that, I don't think it's a wise choice because it will come back to bite you. I think some things are yours to do, like, like for example, protecting your family, and that can go into a whole other debate and what it means and whatever. But I think being healthy, protecting your family, finding a living, making a living, and just being a human that is connected to nature and earth should be independent of having a government or not. And I think today we give too much power to government. They fix all our problems. It's making us dependent. I believe it's making us weaker. It's making us not ready. If, let's say, and something wipes out technology today, I think we are not ready to interact directly with nature, and that's because of our reliance on government, I think. So I think we should be better neighbors, and we should be more connected to nature, and we should directly deal with the climate and the ecosystem and be responsible with everything that we're taking from the earth and we're giving.
Fair enough. That makes me think of a personal anecdote. I'm working with a refugee group that came from overseas, and we recently introduced the guy to a job. Like, we gave him a job, but he was already on Centrelink. He worked 2 days, maybe 3, and then the whole time he was complaining, and then realized, I don't want to do this. It's just easier if I sit at home. And that just baffled me, because as an immigrant, you just don't do that. You don't go to Centrelink and get a job seeker. But just that part of enabling, like, that's an option. If you want to do that, you could do that.
Oh, and it connects to that welfare, like the criticisms of a welfare state. A welfare state is a state, like, for example, the African American Society, I was reading this essay. It says that in the 60s, when the civil rights movement was ending, I believe it was getting bought out, but basically how the government started giving checks to single moms. And when they studied it, they realized that now the single moms, because they want the government check, are kicking their husband out.
Yeah.
And it's breaking the family fabric, and it's breaking families together, which is, in social science, the family is the basic unit upon which a society is built. So when they broke families down, that cannot be good. That can only mean the child will grow up traumatized, and then the government will intervene in another way to make them relevant and make them important and not invisible. So totally, I think that needs to be challenged in all our communities. I feel like the Sudanese community here who come as refugees sometimes don't have that education, which is like, find a way to be self-determined, find a way to be independent, because it's not just about comfort. It's about having your freedom, and your freedom is your discipline. But I think once you people come sometimes and they're too traumatized and they've survived death. And I'm not trying to, I understand that. But I think education is important to show that, hey, the best thing you can do is, God bless the child that's got his own.
Yeah.
You got to be independent.
But Yaseen, I feel like you could speak about this more, perhaps because you did grow up in Sudan. Say a family comes in, right? And coming from Sudan, there's literally pretty much no government support. There's none of it. The government is trying to hurt you, actually. So you come here and you're on government support from Australia. It can be a bit difficult, I think, to start actualizing and jump in the market and do your own thing. It might just be easier to sit back and just say, finally someone cares, and just take the help that comes in.
So,
what do you think?
Like going back to the question.
Yeah.
Just, I want to go back to that question. The power shouldn't be, what I believe is the government shouldn't have power. The power should be invested in the law more than the government. Because the government, what they do is they provide services. They make sure that this law is enforced and it's working for the people. That's their job. But to give them absolute power to make decisions, we have examples of that, like in today's world. We have Egypt, very good example. We have Saudi Arabia, we have UAE. This is what absolute power looks like. When you associate the government with the law, with the country. So in Egypt now, the president represents everything. Without him, there is no country. That's what people think. He represents law. He represents pretty much everything. That's absolute power. And that doesn't work. That doesn't work. We have examples, and it didn't work for people. And it's actually harming them. It's actually harming them. Because if you give someone absolute power without regulations or scrutiny, is it scrutiny?
Yeah, scrutiny.
Scrutiny, yeah.
تحاسبهم يعني.
Yes, exactly. من غير رقابة, and it has to be very strict. Very, very strict for this to happen. If they want power, then we need to have regulators, people who look after what they're doing.
Some checks and balances to make sure the power is never abused.
And it has to be very strict. Otherwise, it's istibdad.
Gone.
Yeah, it's oppression.
Oppression.
At that point.
And this is what we're suffering from in the Middle East. It's oppression.
What would you say to this as a follow-up? Because you opened up a really great topic. It's like I was reading this book. It's called The Destruction of Black Civilization. And it says that in Africa, anciently, the king or the ruler was the servant of the manifestation and the servant of the people. That's the African culture. Like, your leader is no good if they are not actualizing the needs of the people. Really, the people are the rulers and the people are the power.
Yes.
But the leader is the person who reflects that will of the people best. And that might be for a particular period in time. And the book also said that even giving, the rule to your son or to their, the nepotism, even that was not really strict and black and white. It was more so, hey, the qualities of the father could be present in the child, and the child and the father gave their life in the service of the people. So we might find these same qualities in the child. It was out of that logic rather than, it's a bloodline thing. The bloodline thing, the book argues, the patriarchal bloodline thing came from the invasions of the Arabs and the invasions of the Greeks and kind of mixing with the African culture. So the point that I wanted to add to yours, or I guess bounce it back to you, is power has to be with the people, right?
Yes.
Power has to be with the people, and they have to decide. The people have to decide the rules in which they live under.
Yeah. But to achieve that, what do you need? You need tools. You need the tools, the right tools for people to get their voice up there to the government, saying, yo, we want this,
Yes.
which is al-Barlaman,
Yes. And
which is al-Barlaman. These kind of institutions are tools for the people to communicate with the government,
yes.
for the government to do exactly what they want. It's very simple. But now it's the other way around. The government is enforcing whatever the president or whatever you call him, Fir'aun, whatever.
Ideologue, that,
Yeah,
the
Amir
main man.
al-Mu'mineen, that.
Big brother.
Yeah, big brother. He's enforcing whatever he thinks that is right. And then you can see it in their speeches. Like when they give a speech, they'll be like, I'm saving you.
And eventually
I'm
he'll
helping
be,
this country. No, people are starving, man. That's the reality. People are starving. People are dying. There's a lot of shit.
yeah.
Anyways, sorry to.
No, that's
Yeah,
fine,
that
man.
was,
This is why we brought you here. We want to hear.
Yeah.
Fantastic
It's
insight.
absolutely exactly what we need to hear. You said something about voice, parliament. That brings me to my next question. Freedom of expression. Something you hear being thrown around all the time. Should freedom of expression have limitations or not? And I want to start with you.
Should it have limitation? Of course, yes. Everything has limitation. No one is absolutely free from everything. Everything has limitation.
But when you start doing that, this is when you bring in political correctness. This is what eventually that looks like.
I'm not talking about political correct. Would you consider someone offending you for no reason a freedom of speech? No. Because
Well-
someone is offending you for no reason.
But see, that's the sensitive part. When you say offending you, being offended is like, it's a meter. Anyone would feel differently. People today get offended for different things.
If
Yeah.
someone comes and yells at your wife in front of you,
Yeah.
is that
That's
freedom of
real.
speech?
That's not freedom of speech, but that's real.
Exactly.
But then, who's to say that you weren't offended when I did a certain thing that someone else, like I call you by a different pronoun. Let's use that example. Easy, right there on the table.
Yeah, okay.
You got offended. Is that a limitation or
No, well,
freedom of speech?
I get your point. There's got to be a line drawn on, like, it has to be, where does your freedom end and the welfare of the people start?
Yeah.
And where does, but freedom of expression or freedom of speech are we talking?
Expression and speech.
So if it's manifest in speech. So,
speech,
before I
yeah.
give my answer, though, I'll let Yaseen finish his answer, though.
Yeah. So I would say there is a line where you're بتتعدى or you're crossing
Yeah.
someone else's red line, then
Then it's
what
not.
the hell are you
anymore,
doing? That's not freedom of speech or expression. On the opposite side, I say this. If you have freedom of speech, you can say whatever you want, but you can't make people believe it. I'm sorry. I'm talking here about the alphabet mafia.
yeah. Right. Okay.
You can make people believe this. I'm sorry, you can say whatever you want. You're free to say, I'm identify as a cat, dog, whatever.
Whatever
But
things.
you can't make me believe it. I'm free as well to believe whatever I want. So we can't have this double standard here. It's either we all agree on freedom of speech and let's do this, and whoever wants to. But now, if you oppose them, you might get canceled.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we've seen this.
What do you think?
And I think that has a few manifestations. Like here, it happens through you kind of opposing anything that kind of roots back to that liberalism doctrine of that France came up with, I think.
Exactly.
Anything that comes from that, if you oppose it here, it's like religion. And yeah, I agree with Yaseen totally when it comes to that. Like you are free to be safe, you are free to express yourself, to live your life, but you can't preach it, right? And the same is true. Like I grew up in Saudi Arabia, so I saw another application of this. I saw that I was telling them before the show, the hay'a will come to you and they will, the religious police, and they will force you to pray. And that has several problems with it. Like I think that it's always based on where you're living, that there will be something that the people are aggressive about. They want to see it in other people. especially if it's homogenous and it's one culture ruling the others. But Australia, first of all, is not that. Australia is a country of immigrants where the indigenous people of it lived in tribal ways that have been suppressed and have been, so I think Australia is for all of us to make the rules and to represent all of us and our diversity. Some of us are conservative. Some of us are artists and liberals, and artists can be conservatives as well. Some of us are gay, lesbians, whatever. Some of us are, and I think that yes, we have to live in peace, but we don't also have to act like we agree and hug each other the whole time. Exactly. We have to live in peace. It's like at work, you have to respect the people you work with. You don't have to love them, right? Yeah. And in society, I think it should be the same. And I think people need to accept that. So I would say I agree with you. Seeing the version of it in the West is manifest in those liberal things. But I think in the East, there is a different set of those beliefs that people try to enforce. If we go back home, for example, in Sudan, like I think every Sudanese person can agree that whenever you show individual expression in a way, they feel it as a threat to the collective well-being. And it's like the tall poppy syndrome that you taught me about a few days ago, where if you just step out of line, you kind of get brought back into shape. And people are sometimes extreme about that over there. And I, for example, struggled with that. So I think it's a human problem, this extremism with what we think is right based on what we were born into, based on the actions that we've made in our lives. Like, I remember there's a really interesting story. I was at the job and it was a meeting. And we had an Indian lady who's from India. She immigrated from India. And she was telling us that it's her anniversary. And she said that it was an arranged marriage. And the white ladies or the liberal, the westernized people in the meeting went like, like poor her and
suppressed,
and
oppressed.
And I'm like, she's probably happier than you. You're probably like there is like who knows what model works. Like I am a person that I believe, and I think statistically also when we researched it, there was like arranged marriage works more. People stay together.
Yeah.
But the liberals here think arranged marriage is backwards when they don't understand the amount of social validation you need to do to know who's marrying your daughter and the nature of things and how it's tribal out there and it's not the way things are here and the values are different and what's reflected is so if you're not willing to study these people and understand where they're coming from when they made this and when they did this, it's very offensive to go like arranged marriage based on your limited scope and you're living in a bubble of having privilege for years and having the liberalist agenda just kind of running free through you. And I don't think I can marry arranged personally. I think I'm far too westernized personally if I'm self-aware enough. But I cannot make my life experience and whatever is suitable for me, that's what's right.
Yeah.
That is, I think, what the liberals are doing, is that they think that we are what's right, everyone else
is wrong,
is inferior and doing something stupid.
It's like,
it's offensive.
Do you remember what happened in Qatar?
What happened?
World Cup.
Yeah, okay.
The German national team, because they were having this conversation about are LGBTQ community allowed to come and watch soccer, all this crap. And then the Qatari government, they said, yo, we have no problem with anyone. Anyone can come in. We don't care about your sexuality. Just please do not practice it in public. We're not going to be watching you in your hotel room. So everyone is welcome to come.
But just respect the local customs.
Respect our culture, which is fair enough. The German national team came, and then they did this famous
stance.
Stance. And then they covered their mouth with their hand. Expressing that there is
a certain level of oppression.
Oppression in Qatar. Subhanallah. Now, what happened in Germany? People are supporting Palestine, and then they're throwing them in jail.
Yeah, the far right Germans are
what happened to the freedom of speech?
No, but I might want to be fair here and maybe not disagree, but add that I think the German team was also addressing the Qatari employees, how they treated the Indians and the Bangladeshis in terms of building these structures, which I think is a true oppression. And I think that how the Middle East is and how it treats foreigners in general, I think is a real thing. But to your point, I don't think Germans are the ones to speak on that. I don't think colonial Europe is the one who has to referee
Exactly.
a culture that they don't understand. And I think them raising awareness, though, I think that it was. I have mixed reaction to the German team because I think it's arrogance that they think they are the ones who have to change this. But I also think that if you're trying to put those Indians who had mothers and those Bangladeshis and all these, even Sudanese and Egyptians and a lot of foreigners just died and they didn't even tell their families, and they didn't even pay them right, and they didn't put the right safety precautions when building all these bridges and putting all. I saw that firsthand as a child in Saudi Arabia, and I think Qatar would be an extension of that in a sense, and I think that needs to be called out. But honestly, the fact that the Germans had to maybe address that in addition to the LGBT part is a failure on our part, I think. I think, what are we doing if the Germans are the ones that speak on this? Like, this has been a reality of our region, and we know the classism in our region. Like, India itself is not perfect. It's hierarchical, right? So it kind of feeds that engine of slavery that just modernized itself in Saudi Arabia and Qatar. But they're two different problems. But yes, the Western values when it comes to the LGBT rights, I think now is problematic because it's become about money, and it's become about programming people and kids and spreading a propaganda of one view that is right, and they're not accepting anyone else.
To be honest, I wasn't defending Qatar. I was just pointing out the hypocrisy in what they're doing. But at the same time, now we know, and everyone should know, and that's a fact, that there is a lot of hypocrisy in this world.
Yes.
There is a lot of it. People were living, I wouldn't say a lie, but they're lying to themselves. They're saying we are the superior, the Europeans. They're saying we are the superior. We have the freedom of speech. You Arabs are barbarian, blah, blah, blah. And now what happened to your freedom of speech? What happened to it?
It's an illusion.
Why are you detaining people because they're just
saying what's happening in Palestine?
Yeah, they're just talking. They're just protesting.
So you have freedom of speech until it disagrees with us fundamentally.
So the right way to say it, if you agree with our agenda, you're free to speak. If you don't, please shut the fuck up and stay at the back.
I think that governments did that throughout times. Yes, it's always been the case.
Yeah,
that's perfect, man. I feel like this is a very good answer. I was actually listening, and two questions popped up, and I don't know in which order should I ask them. First, do you see values in arranged marriage? This is a big topic, and I feel like we can talk about this for like the next hour. This is very, very interesting. The next, how do you address cancel culture? Because this is what happens now with, if you don't agree with the agenda, you're canceled.
Yeah.
To a certain level, you can be slightly canceled by going to an HR meeting, or you could just lose your job and your livelihood.
Yeah.
I think cancel culture today, my opinion is cancel culture today doesn't exist.
Not anymore.
I think it happened for a short, brief period of time. I think that there was a time where you said, you for example said anything anti-Israel, you'd be canceled immediately, right? Or you said anything that shows traditional patriarchal values, you'd get canceled. Or you said anything that people don't want to hear, you'd get canceled. I think what happened, and I give credit to a lot of people who spoke freely and still challenged it. I think today you will get a reaction. You will get people going like, yo, don't say that or don't. But I think today with technology and with the fact that the demographics in modern countries became from different races and power is not as it used to be 50 years ago, I think you can be, if you fight for your values, I think you will win today more than in the past. And I think the power to cancel you is more an illusion they want you to believe rather than it's real. I don't think it's real anymore. I think it ended. I think the brave few people that talked despite it, I think the Gaza war that happened just recently also just ended it, because the public opinion on Israel completely changed today in a way that if you spoke like that 4 years ago, you wouldn't get a job. You could get fired.
Yeah.
You could get fired. I don't think today you get fired for being pro-Palestine.
No, do it consistently. Be consistent.
Yeah.
Do it every day. Tell the truth without hiding anything. You will get cancelled. Sean King got cancelled. Just recently in this Gaza war, he got cancelled.
No, but is that
All
cancel
his
culture?
social media got
They
cancelled.
got wiped out.
Yeah. It's because he was consistent about it. Every day, every second, he was posting, talking about it, and they didn't like
But
it.
is that different to in the 50s, 60s, or 200 years ago when someone is attacking the powers that be, that they're going to get assassinated, they're going to get, that I think that's been there throughout time, right? But
I mean that's-
cancel culture is an extra sensitivity. It's like a comedian can't say a joke.
Yeah.
As a musician, you can't. Like, I think today, if you go to comedy clubs today, in here or in New York or wherever, I think there is an extent. I would definitely acknowledge that
Kevin
if-
Hart.
if
It
you
happened to
become
Kevin Hart, right?
who
recent-
Dave Ship? No, Kevin Hart. What do you mean? I'm not
Like
aware.
he said some kind of joke. I'm not.
I'm not sure, but I'm saying that today I think you can get away with more. I think that if you, and I also think it's a responsibility of the communicator to communicate while keeping the biases and the fear of the people in mind. Like, I think that a difference between a truth sayer and a change maker is language, and it's craftsmanship, and it's how to say it in a way that you wake people up, but at the same time you disarm them. Some people are so right and they said the truth over and over, but they said it in a way that is inconsistent with human nature, which is human nature loves to deny the truth in general.
Yeah.
So if you say it to them in a way that is not massaged and is not articulated, and I think that's the value of art, I think it's a responsibility of the communicator to work on their craft. To, like, if you talk to your wife the way you want to talk to her, she won't take it. Like, if you have to finesse your message, you have to finesse your message in the sense that, if I say, like, for example, between guys, we play football together, we do a lot of stuff together. If I go like, yo man, fuck off man, stop doing that, I don't think you're gonna focus on how I'm saying it more than you're focusing on what I'm saying, because we're in a game and we're moving on. But if I talk like that to my partner, she doesn't care what I'm talking about. I'm gonna have to deliver it better. And I think that is true of society as well. And I had problems accepting that. I felt like the world is fucked if we can't say the truth the way it is. But I also understood through time and when I grew up that if you want to be speaking to people and changing their minds, you don't have to. But if you want to be the person that influence people to change, it's your job and responsibility to find the right language and to find the right medium and to work on that as well.
I would agree. I totally agree with you. Like, you have to it's to influence people. It's basically you have to be an artist on how to talk to people, how to get them to listen to you.
So the
'Cause
responsibility falls on the
Yeah,
speaker also.
on the speaker, yeah. If you're talking about influencing people, because listening is a skill that most people don't have. Just to listen and think about what you're hearing from the other side. Like, try to listen instead of getting defensive about it. That's a skill not a lot of people have. But what I'm saying is, when the society is reacting to a radical thing, like what's happening in Gaza, of course the reaction is going to be radical. How do you expect people to see we're talking about 50,000. Imagine 50,000 people standing here. We're talking about 50,000 people who died in this war. How come you're expecting people not to react in a radical way? And I don't think this is radical. People were sharing what was happening. People were sharing.
Yeah, that was suppression.
Yeah, exactly. But apparently, they can't handle the truth.
Yeah, if the truth goes against
Yeah.
their truth.
Exactly, they can't handle it. So what they do, they cancel the guy.
Yeah, and look at the war in Sudan.
Yeah,
The war in Sudan is almost,
one's talking
it's
about it.
even more suppressed, and there's
Yeah.
gold, like the whole Sahel region in Africa, there's gold being extracted in the millions. There's Canadian, French, English companies that are still operating from colonial times today in the mines, taking it and making the local people get exposed to uranium and hazards and all that, and they're developing, and no media, all these media channels that are about integrity and about freedom of speech and about human rights.
Exactly.
Because if that gold doesn't come out of Africa, you can't even run the UN. The money will come short.
No one wants to take a clear stand on the conflict in Sudan.
Yeah, no one wants.
No one wants to take a clear stand. So what's happening now is we're saying it's a conflict between two militia, the army and the militia, but this is normal in Africa. It happened before.
They don't want to go below the surface.
They don't want to take a stand, especially I'm talking about the United Nations, where they're doing their offerings. First of all, they started this war. If you go back to how the war started, it's because اتفاق الإطار اتحصل. And now no one wants to take a clear stand about this to end this war. No one wants to do that.
الاتفاق الإطاري ده شنو؟ Can someone Google that?
Yeah, I feel like I got lost with this one.
الاتفاق الإطاري ده بهم ملخص وكده إنه كان الميليشيا بتاعت الدعم السريع دي تندمج مع الجيش.
And it's an agreement proposed by the UN to make, or by the government itself.
هو كان أنه بس you have to مفترض تراجع دي وراي.
We will.
لكن أنا أعتقد إنه كان المبعوث بتاع اليون هو القدم المقترح الإطاري ده.
Which is basically how to get the RSF or the militias into the army.
لا هو بنود كثيرة، لكن دي كان واحدة من البنود اللي كان فيها الاختلاف كبير.
To assimilate that.
إنه كيف يندمجوا في 10 سنين. ده كان اقتراح الدعم السريع.
A 10-year plan to assimilate them.
والجيش داير في سنتين على أساس إنه نبقى هنا، لأنه 10 سنين طبعا كثيرة شديدة يعني. وبعدين الرتب وكده يعني. في اختلافات كانت كثيرة، وكان يعني was obvious that الاختلاف ده كان حيحصل.
Okay, so Yaseen is saying that because that there's the agreement that the UN maybe proposed to the Sudanese government gave a 10-year plan to transition the RSF.
لا هو قالوا حنندمجوا لكن الآلية ما كانت محددة.
No, they didn't give the method what, but they said that they have to assimilate them into the army, the Sudanese army, and the forces to be one force.
One force, exactly.
And the military then refused, the government refused because they wanted a faster solution to
exactly.
that.
And they want 2 years, خلاص, in 2 years you should be...
You should be, one force.
Anyways, but right now, no one wants to take a clear stand because for example, they don't want to call out UAE for what they're doing, how they're supporting the RSF. They don't want to do that.
That's insane
and
to
it's
me.
because لأنه المصالح المشتركة دي, this is how politics work.
Yep, it's by interest. It's by what is in it for you.
The interest comes first.
Yes.
They don't care about
human
Sudanese
rights
and human rights. This is all crap.
The children dying. Yeah.
Exactly.
They don't care about that.
They don't care about that.
Michael Jackson said it.
Yeah.
They don't care about us.
So I wanna just pause here a little bit because this
has it gone too deep for you?
No, it's great. I don't want to stop, but it has gone a little bit out of the scope.
Fair enough. No,
maybe we'll address this perhaps in a full episode where we can explore what's happening in Sudan, especially with you and perhaps even more guests.
Yeah, it would be a valuable voice. To be honest.
Yeah, absolutely. But I do want to ask you this question. This has been on my mind, and I know it's a bit of a shift, but the value in arranged marriage, because for me, I see this when you brought this up earlier when the Indian lady said she's arranged marriage, right? Yeah. I'm working with a group now with this refugee family when the woman in the house doesn't want to take any action in terms of, or doesn't want to have responsibility in terms of arranging finances or doing paperwork and stuff like that. The ladies with me in the group look at this and say, wow, maybe we should address her freedom of expression. Maybe we should have a talk about, maybe we should empower her. And I'm right there with this couple, and she doesn't want to be bothered by this type of.
And I think here's where you're the bridge. You are the bridge because you know both cultures. And these white women will probably look at that as, what the hell is that? She should do this, she should do that. But no, you don't know shit. Shut the fuck up. Okay? It's supposed to explain to them, no, the way that society operates and the way the habits were built in this society were in the sense that this person is so good at some skills that you have no idea about. This person can go to the market alone, negotiate. She can probably fight a motherfucker. And these Middle Eastern women are very strong, but they're, when you expose them and you make them look like they are weak because you're testing them based on your standards.
Yeah.
I think that is ridiculous and it's oppressive and it's the worst thing that you can do. But here's where a role like yours comes into it, because you've seen the two worlds. And you have the language, right? And you can say, look, for the first time, I'm going to excuse it as ignorance, right? But let me educate you that no, you can't hold that yardstick to judge this woman. And this is not the problem you should fix. What's beneath the surface is bigger. This woman should be given language, should be empowered, because she probably has a command over her husband, her children listen to her, and she will want to, naturally, the maternal instinct is to protect her family, but she should be enabled, because this is also a human being transitioning and changing environments at an adult age.
Yeah.
And that is a big deal. And that person will go through an emotional journey. We are all immigrants. We know that you get lonely, even as a young, strong man or whatever. You get lonely, you get disconnected, you feel like no one here knows you. It's painful. So imagine what a mother who is so rooted in her society and community comes, and all these white ladies are going wondering why she's not doing what they think she should do. Like, they should fuck off, to be honest.
That happens, and for me, when I hear that, I'm like, she doesn't want to. You can ask her, she's right there, she's not shy. She just doesn't feel like wanting to do this particular set of activities, and that's not coming from...
And it's not one way that
Yeah,
is going to
it's-
work. She has to be helped to find her way.
Yeah.
Not do it your way. And this is something not just her goes through. We all go through this, man. Like, you come here and okay, I'm an immigrant. I came to a new country. It's my responsibility to adjust. I understand that. I understand my responsibility. It's to respect the culture I'm coming into. But as well, if you're an immigrant-taking country, are you doing enough to contain this diversity that's coming inside? Are you doing enough to get black people to help black people and Asians to help Asians and so on, because then they will understand how their mothers raised them and what's their fears, what are they dealing with. I don't think a white man can understand the trauma of a black kid. I don't understand. Ask my brother, he went to therapy here. He walked out middle of the session. He was like, man, this motherfucker don't know shit.
I do remember that, when that happened,
This guy got scared of me, man. Like, I told him some shit that I saw in my life. He was like, what kind of therapist goes like, you're a therapist, nigga.
Maybe we should bring Yusuf at some point to speak about this. I feel like
got
this is a
shocked,
juicy bit, bro.
He shocked the therapist, man. The therapist started taking Xanax after he left.
This is the story we made. This is the video we created.
He was
This
like,
is
yo,
really...
he started telling him one story from the neighborhood. The guy was like, God damn. No, I'm used to like, oh, my dad didn't let me, my stepdad and my mom, and everybody's telling me what to do. Nigga, these are not real problems.
This is crazy.
Sorry.
This is crazy.
I went crazy a little bit. I was trying to be nice.
They
The next
brought
station,
you
they brought you an
there.
Well, he's an Oreo. They got you an Oreo cookie. There's one thing worse than a white person who thinks they understand your problem, is a black person who was raised with white people and thinks because,
Because this guy is black, he's gonna get it. There is some sort of shared
That is
DNA.
a tool of oppression. When they get you the westernized black, it's like, I think Obama was that, for example. I think Obama was the biggest example of make it a black face, but it's white policy behind. You know what I mean? But then they're gonna accept it. Obama told black women jump from the roof, they would jump, bro, because they have a crush on that motherfucker.
He was a well-organized, good-looking guy.
It was a good look. Honestly, I get it. Like,
Yeah,
I had a crush on Obama, but like you can't. It's like even your crush, like manage it, man. Like have a critical mind, like.
This is so funny, man. I want to ask you guys a question. Role of art. Do you guys have any? We have creative pursuits, but I want to ask you, Yaseen, do you have a creative pursuit that you are following, and what is the role of this artistic pursuit in your life? And do you see a place for it in society? I know it's a hard shift, but this is a question that I've been wanting to ask you.
And to be honest, the artistic side of me
Is dead.
Is weak. It's not dead. Like, I'm not focused on that part.
That's fair.
I do love art, and I think art can be used to convey messages. That's the main use of art, and we need it. It's essential.
I feel like you're cutting yourself.
That's a beautiful position
Yeah.
to have. For
But-
I didn't expect it.
But to be honest, I'm not an artist, and there is no problem with that. I'm something different.
You're something different.
Yeah, I'm not gonna sit there and say, "Oh, one day I'm gonna rap or paint." Or no, I'm not that person. I'm sorry.
You know,
I can
maybe you
express
try.
myself in words. Yes,
That is an art.
that's an
Eloquence
art.
is an art.
Yeah, that's
Eloquence
an
is
art.
an
you
art.
can consider
Yeah.
it an
Yeah.
art, but most people don't. They have like
Yeah, it has to
forms
be
of
a
art.
craft.
Yeah.
And I think that's a problem with the arts today. People think today art is a skill set. It's like you can play the violin. You can actually, I think art is a creative permission you give yourself to shape your moment, whatever it is. It's a creative permission to go like, I'm feeling this, I'm gonna let it out. I'm feeling this, I'm gonna, and it's a freedom, it's a power to be. And I think art, we call it art because it's the physical manifestation of this, but I think creativity is a way of life. It's not
Yeah.
exactly a skill.
Yeah.
It's a way of life, and I feel like it's necessary. It's absolutely necessary for change, right? Like for us to evolve and change, someone has to tell us some crazy shit that we feel like, oh, it's so crazy, this idea. But then we think about it, and then we change, and then we resist it, and then someone says it in a better way. But I think art is absolutely critical, man.
yeah, it is.
You summarized it. You said it's a way of life. I totally agree with you, and that's why I feel like you're cutting yourself short. Like
And then, like-
I heard you spoke. I hear you speak all the
Comment
time
section.
with the group.
Okay, I think we need to move on.
You think so?
I think we're getting a hard stop from the producers to move on to the comments.
Okay, all right.
And, just one last thing. I can be an artist in writing emails.
Yeah.
That's
your-
one thing.
Employee ass nigga.
Do you guys have any final remarks on this episode? Do you feel like you want to say something to the camera, to the people sitting behind?
I'm just grateful we got my friend Yaseen finally, and his beautiful wife Hidayah there, and they really we didn't plan this perfectly. They accommodated us
Big time.
and he really, because he's not gonna come to Sydney again for maybe a while, and he did his best to make it here. And thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
It's really I feel privileged and I feel happy.
Let's do a round of applause for Wad Yaseen doing around with us.
We're gonna do the comments, yeah, Yusuf. You're not gonna stay?
Yeah, let's give Yusuf a mic. Oh,
All right. Good
Yusuf
paid.
gotta go
man.
to- Yeah, quickly, bro.
يا أخي ده
شغلك بعيد؟
Let's keep rolling.
Okay, نص ساعة. That's crazy. far.
working class يا طغد حبيبي.
Okay, should we give him the mic? Does he have a mic?
لا انا بشارك معك المايك.
He has a mic.
تعال تعال خش.
He has his cake. Young people need energy. Can I have a snack
them up.
actually? Producer, can I please have a snack?
Let's do it.
Okay, so first comment.
So I see we're gonna read the comments on the last on the Instagram videos that we posted. The first comment is very positive من الأستاذة إيمان MNSWR.
Let's keep it in English also.
Bin collective community is not bad until the person's identity is completely gone, and that what Sudanese are doing. No one is allowed to be himself. You always have to be part of a group. It's tiring.
We understand you, man. We understand. You're keep fighting. I think good community is from strong individuals, and we need a balance.
Thank you for engaging with us.
Thank you so
I
much.
hope the
Iman.
episode didn't make you feel tired, since everything else is clearly making you feel tired.
تفضل يا أخي.
جليكي من الزولة.
خليها.
The next comment is Abu Bakr Muhammad. قال يا لساني خليتك لي الاستغفار.
خليتك للاستغفار.
شنو قال؟
خليتك لي الاستغفار. شنو هذا
exactly what he
خليتك للاستغفار. يا لساني خليتك للاستغفار قال.
لا.
كويس على الأقل بتصلي.
It means that he want. I think he means that he wanted to criticize you.
لكن استغفر.
لكن it's better for him إنه يستغفر يعني.
ربنا يكتب لك الجنة يا أخي. It's beautiful.
يغفر لنا جميعا إن شاء الله يا أبو بكر.
طيب ابو القاسم علي واحد
اوف ده هجيبه وارمه ده.
لا لا. The community provides for its own. And this is the same throughout Africa and other countries. However, I think the price is individualism and creativity and personal space.
I don't understand it,
me
but it
neither.
seems positive. It seems positive. Go again.
The community provides for its own. And this is the same throughout Africa and other countries. However, I think the price is individualism
Okay.
and creativity and
Person.
personal
Oh,
space.
so the
that
price
makes
of the community providing for itself is individualism and
No.
creativity and personal space. That nice. It makes sense. Sorry, Abul Qasim. That makes sense actually. And I think that's true, but I think it doesn't have to be. I think we can evolve past that. I think we can have strong individuals in a strong community that creates for itself. And I think in the past can be examples of that balance being good. Any thoughts on Abul Qasim?
I was just stuck with Abul Qasim Ali. I was wondering who took Abul Qasim Ali number 1 and 2. Why is that's
come?
all. هو رقم 1. في كان قبله رقم 0.
يمكن رقم المفضل بس.
Could be.
اوكي.
انت رقم واحد والله ابو القاسم.
قاسم هاي رقم واحد.
شكرا على الكتابة الجميلة.
طيب
Thank you.
الكومنت الثاني نواس اندرسكور 79 اتكلموا عربي بالله.
جدا. Absolutely.
اوكي.
حاضر.
المرات الجاية.
بالله نعمل له ترجمة تحت. انا والله ذاتي كنت داري اتكلم عربي لكن نازل قال لي يتكلم انجليزي. هو ده شو النزول ده؟
ما مشكلة.
دي
اسمه
اسمها ده نواس ما اعرف لو
نواس underscore 79.
ايوه.
Okay, we'll take that on. نحن we work.
Thank you.
We're trying to produce a consistent thing. ودايرين يعني we're gonna figure it out. Okay, we're working on it. وشكرا. فتك ما تقولوا الناس عم بيتكلموا عربي لكن والله نرطن دينكم يطلع هنا.
معز للناس اللي ما فهم الحوار الناس ديل بيشرحوا نحن بنحب مفروكة البامية أكثر من التقلية ليه؟
10 على 10 ده. That's a great
You deserve it, bro.
يا اخي
That's exactly what we're trying to do.
أيوة بالضبط الناس اللي ما فهم الحوار الكلام ده 100% صح.
It's deep. It's deep.
أيوة. يلا جاكم اسمي فانشي اللي هو السني اللي هو صديق طفولتي وشاوت اوت ليك يا سني. I feel that we don't have our own story. As long as we speak Arabic, we can't detach ourselves from the Arab world. And as long as we're black, we won't be fully accepted into it. So that's the dilemma.
Wow, what a thought-provoking thing. ودي أسي what was that كانت عاطف أنت يمكن بقول لك لما الهامش والشنو عكس الهامش المركز
والهامش.
قال لك المركز اللي هو العرب لما ما يعترف بالهامش الهامش ما حينضم للمركز. So it's like
بعدين السوداني عايش على هامشين هامش العربي والهامش الافريقي.
margin of Arabs and the margin of Africans. Sudanese people have that is our identity crisis in a nutshell.
Yeah.
Is that we are on the margin of Africanism and in the margin of Arabism, and we are not sure what we are anymore.
لكن one thing and I want to say to him, you don't need anyone to accept you. عرفت؟ انت what you need is to focus on yourself. انت سوداني يس انت عربي ويس انت افريقي ويس انت سوداني.
And it's our strength.
It's بالضبط انت اللي بتحكي قصتك. We don't care about those Arabs. عرفت؟ They can come and join. We're happy to have them. لكن احنا بنتعامل معهم بندي. ده المفروض يحصل because we do have our own story. So don't feel انه you need acceptance من
اسمع الكلام ده صح للدين.
ده كومنت صاحبك.
ايوه
ده من صاحبك ده اديني رقم وانا هضرب له عادي. You don't need acceptance from anyone.
اللي صاحبك ده هضرب له عادي. كمل يا اخي ده
يلا تاني السني تاني جاكم. We could trace our origins back to Nubia and Kush, but those civilizations perished so long ago that we almost can't relate to them.
Another great point, but we can study history and we can see what we do today naturally that was there. Yeah, for example, Nubian fighting. And I didn't know that Durman thing is so ancient.
أيوة.
It's so ancient. It's so crazy. It's actually...
You know?
We watched a documentary, I know, Yusuf, that was saying, yeah, Jamaa was saying that martial arts was an African invention. Like, how outrageous is that?
Right.
Like that kung fu kind of stuff.
Is it real?
We created
No, it's
that
real.
shit.
Like there's legitimate
Real
reasons to
That's
follow
why
it.
we whoop a nigga ass, yeah, man, easily.
Yo,
That
That's the truth, yeah.
that's why we're not trying to whoop anyone. But the pen is mightier than
You
the sword.
still win at turning anything gangster.
You do.
Whatever it is, bro.
Gangster, شنو man.
There you go.
your ass.
لا لا I'm not. We don't turn anything gangster or nothing now. بالعكس.
He just bullied our host there. I have final comments. So we can
يلا استعدادكم.
no, we're gonna do more every episode. Like
safe. Go ahead, guys.
دي ظريفة لكن ادينا واحدة that criticizes us. Give us a funny one that really tries to.
يا أخي كان في واحدة قوية يعني.
هناك the back.
دي صح؟
واحدة قوية.
يلا اسمه شنو زين فرح. Another incredible episode worth the wait صراحة. I'd recommend English subtitles and I know it's in your list. Not for me, but I generally see loads of value in what you guys are discussing and more people should listen to these topics and take it in.
Thank you. We'll work on
nice.
subtitles.
We acknowledge that the language thing is presenting a divide between our audiences. لكن if I can say anything, نحن ذاتنا هنا we immigrated to Australia وعرفنا المجتمع هنا وفي نفس الوقت نحن تربينا سودانيين وفي مننا سكنوا مع العرب وفي مننا سكنوا we have diverse experiences, and like the identity crisis that we talked about نحن قاعدين to be true to who we are in the way that we know. لكن who we are is also ما الطائفة بتاعتك انت برضه لازم تعاين خارج نفسك. في ناس في السودان متأفرقة أكثر من متعربة وفي ناس متعربة أكثر من متأفرقة, and there's a whole spectrum and we need to include all of them in this conversation, and we are trying and it will work. Okay, لكن ما تزعلوا شديد. Thank you everybody for watching. Good or bad comments, we want to keep it coming لأنه we want to reflect reality. Don't worry about our feelings, we're grown ass niggas. Okay, ما تخافوا. شكرا.
هم ما يخافون. رقم الشيء.
Thank you, Amro.
حبيبي.
Thank you Allah for having me. Appreciate it. Thank you, Amro.
شكرا لك.
Appreciate it. You guys are
Omer and Wad
doing
Yaseen.
you guys are doing
You were
great
great,
job.
man.
Keep it up.
Love it. Amro, thanks for hosting us.
Of course, man. Yeah.
Okay, appreciate
All
it.
right. Okay. Done. Bye, everyone. Bye.
انت بشورتك ده انت من الطبقه الغنيه في السودان.